Hi, my dear lovers. Today we are going to be looking at Uranus and Neptune sextile, but we are going to be integrating Pluto as well, even though I would like to make a separate video about Uranus and Pluto trine as well, just because that's a little bit of a different feeling, but we cannot look at these archetypes without each other. And the reason being is because they are forming actually a mini Grand Trine. So I will be putting the chart onto the screen so you can follow what I'm talking about. But Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, Neptune is in the sign of Pisces, and then Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn now. And all three outer planets are going to be changing sign and they carry on having interactions with each other. So even though we are kind of like focusing on 2025 now, actually, we are going to be talking about between 2025 to 2029 at least. But before we do that, I would like to make a couple of announcements. First of all, I've got all my personal readings on 30% at the moment. So if you would like to have a reading with me, then go ahead, check it out on my website. This promotion is going to be ending in about 1.5 weeks' time. So get your spot. Second is if you would like to study with me, all my courses and webinars are on 40% off at the moment. I've got at least about 150 webinars and courses available. So do a bit of a shopping if you are more curious about, your own astrological journey and you would like to figure things out on your own rather than just having a 1 hour reading. And on top of that, as usual, I will be breaking down weekly forecasts for every person who is signed up to my YouTube membership program. This is about 2.5, maximum 3 hours. Usually, sometimes it's 3 hours long videos for all 12 signs. So maybe it's worth having a look at it. Now, I've got a couple of very interesting courses also coming up. One of them is pretty much family constellation through the lenses of astrology. I'm also going to be launching a two-part synastry course. One is going to be focusing on compatibility, and the other one is going to be focusing on sexology in astrology. So we're going to be looking at sexual compatibilities as well. That is pretty much of a taboo topic, right? But I feel like it's highly important to talk about intimacy departments because that is one of the key success factors for a successful relationship, at least in my opinion. So, if you are interested, check those out. Let's get started. Uranus and Neptune sextile. So, in order for us to understand what Uranus and Neptune might be about, we're going to have to go back in history and we're going to have to look at their conjunction. Because whenever two planets meet, they are forming a conjunction. That is the time when certain type of plants or seeds are planted. And then when it comes to certain type of phases, such as the semi-square or semi-square or a sextile, it is going to be talking about that we have to take care of those plants that we planted earlier. So we're going to be going back to check what was going on actually around 1993. But Uranus and Neptune are meeting approximately every 171 years by a conjunction. And Neptune was only discovered in 1846, so we already have experienced the full cycle of his, but we are still unsure about the conjunction of these two. But today we are going to try and get a step closer to them. Now, I have been actually last week accused that I only tend to be focusing on the negative meaning of the planets. And, yes, I must say that, I'm a little bit worried about the times ahead. But because these three are going to be forming a mini Grand Trine, maybe I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic today than usual. So, in order for us to understand the sextile, we need to start with the initial conjunction. This is the time when the seeds got planted. And we had three conjunctions happening between Neptune and Uranus in 1993. And all those conjunctions happened either on 18 or 19 degree of Capricorn. So if you have got any planet on 18, 19 degree, specifically on those degrees of the cardinal signs, Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, or Libra, then this sextile is going to be extremely important for you because you can actually change your life. And we are going to be having actually 5 times when the sextile gets exact. So the very first one is going to be happening August 28th, 2025. And then we're going to have November 20th, 2025, July 16th, 26, January 15th, 2027, and June 6th, 2027 also. So, but they're going to be quite close to each other until about 2029. So we're talking about a good 4.5 year period when actually we can have loads of opportunities coming up. So, by the way, all those who were born in 1988 or 1989 as well, those people will be impacted pretty much, especially the winter babies. So from 1988 September till about 1989 March. And the reason being is because we had Saturn also in the sign of Capricorn during their conjunction. And then winter time, of course, the Sun and Mercury joined as well. So those people were, having kind of like a stellium in the sign of Capricorn. Now, these two planets don't meet or these three planets actually don't meet every single day. So the very last time when they were meeting up was in 1307 in the sign of Virgo. So what? That was a good 700 years ago. So a very long time, right? So now let's get going. What was this conjunction about? What is this cycle about to start with, the Uranus and Neptune? Uranus is quite rebellious, and Neptune is about spirituality. So we could have become quite rebellious against spirituality, or simply there is a spiritual movement that takes place. So this could talk to us about the birth of spirituality. Uranus actually represents the intuitive hit, while Neptune is pretty much the psychology, the spirituality. So there is this spiritual awakening, the birth of psychology, for example. But Uranus also tries to break things apart, to try to break something down. So somehow Uranus wanted to shatter the reality because it happened in the sign of Capricorn, right? So, and Capricorn is all about practicality and reality. So these two somehow wanted to spiritualize the Capricorn part of our chart, to spiritualize that reality. And Neptune is, of course, the exploration of boundaries, seeing behind the scenes also. Now, Capricorn is very much about darkness and limitations and the political society and reality and achievements. So, what these two planets pretty much wanted to plant around those time, that you don't have to be always focusing on limitations and negativity. Let's program the mind. Let's be a little bit more optimistic, for example. Let's use the law of attraction in a way if you want to achieve something in your life. Those two together is very much about trusting your gut feelings, not just seeing what is right in front of you. It's kind of like with Uranus, Neptune, and Capricorn making the invisible visible. So Uranus and Neptune archetype is about wild imagination. So what you can imagine, actually, you can give shape and form to it, Capricorn, because that's the sign of crystallization. Exploring the spiritual realm, getting in touch with the invisible, but also rebel for a cause and the mission as well, because I've got the spiritual mission and I want to make that happen. Also, Uranus Neptune could talk to you about excitement, about helping others, excitement about saving something, saving the earth, saving, kind of like the government, saving corporate world, and so forth. But Uranus and Neptune is also about setting trends, YouTube, social media trends, or even setting trends by becoming a big corporate world, pulling up a business. And that is going to be, followed by others as well. It really looks to me with Uranus and Neptune, we had to start to believe in our psychic abilities as well. Now, whenever Capricorn is in your chart, that is the CEO of your chart. So it's kind of like the CEO shares their vision with others. Uranus tried to break down the borders there around limitations and fears. And Neptune signed up for this to be a mission. And Capricorn is also about rigidness as well. So it came to do kind of like an eye-opening moment about your own rigidness and maybe how strict you are. So Uranus Neptune was about an innovation of an existing system or kind of like dissolving a system in a way. Neptune is pretty much here trying to soften that rigidness around, borders and limitations, fears, and so forth. Neptune also represents glasses, and Uranus is kind of like the upgraded version of that. So it's a little bit like the 3D reality type of things, which obviously becomes a 4D at one point and maybe 5D later on, and so forth. So Neptune and Uranus is kind of like a magical pair of glasses that see through the darkness. So it really looks to me that we were meant to be, on a humanitarian level, see a vision and to give birth to that vision, to make it happen. Neptune and Uranus, also interesting combination, because Neptune represents the sea, while Uranus represents the sky. So it's kind of like trying to fly, but Capricorn is pushing you back down to the floor to stay real somehow. So finding, that's actually important. The exploration of the depth of our emotions, but also being able to take new heights as well at the same time, but in a very realistic way. So this time, it feels like that's something we have been trying to discover for a long time, and we might have run into certain type of challenges. It did not work. Actually, this sextile can make it happen. So maybe we have been trying to get to, I don't know, Uranus, for example, and we have not been able to. And the technology is going to improve that much that we are going to be able to land on Uranus. Just an as example, okay? Now, also very interesting, and one of my favorite series ever is X-Files. And X-Files aired around that time. Actually, it aired in 1993, September. And X-Files really represents for me the Neptune-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. Um, do you remember that series? Did you like it? I would love to hear about your own opinion because I find it very interesting that that was one of the kind of like big series that happened around that time. And it was running until 2004, I believe, so a good 11 years or so. I was a huge Skelly fan. I can't remember the guy's name actually, but I was a huge Skelly fan, I remember. When you think about those characters, one was so practical, while the other one was more spiritual. The guy was a spiritual one, actually. I believe his sister got killed in a mysterious way, so he was trying to find evidence that his sister got kidnapped by UFOs or something like that. So for me, this combination, having this sextile now, is actually somehow finding the evidence that it's true that the UFOs kidnapped my sister, or because she disappeared mysteriously and her body never got found. as far as I remember in the series. I haven't watched it for millions of years, so maybe I should be brushing up my, knowledge on that a little bit. So that Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn was very much about I want to believe something that is not there, but I also have got my doubts as well. Does it actually exist or does it not? You might be wondering why on earth we are talking about Neptune and Uranus in the sign of Capricorn. Victor, they have moved on. They are not there anymore. The reason why, because this is a synodic cycle and it lasts for 171 years. And now the sextile takes us back to that Capricorn part of our chart, something that we might have started there, more on a humanitarian level, okay, more of a mundane level rather than just on a personal level, though. So now we have got 4.5 years when these two planets are communicating with each other. But of course, Uranus now is in the sign of Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and then both of them are going to be shifting, one into Aries and the other one is into Gemini. Now, historically speaking, Neptune and Uranus cycles are about the rise and fall of empires and governments. Usually, they talk about new political parties to be born, as well as the freedom of people. So, if you go back and then think about 1989, for example, actually, that freed up Eastern Europe from the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union was, basically crashed, disappeared, right? And then it gave freedom to people as well. But looking at some other past cycles, 1649 and 1650, we had a Uranus-Neptune conjunction on 15-16 degree of Sagittarius. Well, that was Charles I of England was beheaded. Then we had Uranus-Neptune 1817 to 1827. It happened between 0 to 4 degree of Capricorn. Well, this was a major transformation of old political structures and the birth of new ones. Then we had a Uranus-Neptune synodic cycle started. Oh, sorry. Yeah, in 1992, not 1992, but they were within 1 degree from each other. And actually, the Uranus-Neptune cycle could talk to you about cultural changes as well. 1992, as far as I remember, that was actually I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston on top of my head. And that is one of the biggest songs ever. So this could actually indicate that the music we listen to now, or we kind of like perceive as being good music, is going to be transforming, changing into something completely different. Imagine this, that when you look back in 20 years, we were listening to Ariana Grande or, whoever you want to be mentioning as an example, they kind of get forgotten. But also with Uranus and Neptune, it could be impacting like literature, anything to do with visual art, the art overall, the art industry could be changing quite significantly. This even could talk to us about that YouTube is going to go through certain type of transformation. So cultural changes, spiritual awakening, or even the birth of new religious movements could be coming with this. Or Neptune is very utopian. It's about idealism. So there could be these utopian social movements going on, or metaphysical kind of like discoveries that are happening. So surely new planets are going to be discovered. It's going to be changing astrology completely. Scientific kind of like measures or discoveries or breakthroughs are going to be a major topic. And also, probably, how we understand the functioning of the brain, of the psyche, is going to change also very, very significantly. This Uranus and Neptune could really talk to you about virtual reality as well, but I'm going to come on to that in a short while. Because Neptune is also triggering, of course, Uranus, even though Uranus is a faster moving planet. So Neptune is the idealization and Uranus is technology, as well as intellect. So this is very much about the birth of geniuses, finding solution to kind of like a problem of how to save the world, how to save the water, for example, as Neptune being still in the sign of Pisces, that's all about water, oceans, and so forth. And then Taurus is pretty much the earth, the fertility matters, for example. So therefore it comes with an element of freeing something up, freeing the earth up somehow. Also, um, as Uranus wants to kind of shatter something. So sometimes this is going to be coming with an element of shattering the illusions that we have created for ourselves. Because remember, Saturn will be meeting Neptune as well. So we need to stay real. That's where Saturn will want to help us to make sure that we are real. And then Saturn will be running into the sign into Uranus as well, sometimes in 2032. Again, it's going to be saying, you know what, we've done all these changes and it looked clearly really good. But is it actually really good? Did we make a mistake with this? By the way, the cycle when it started between Neptune and Uranus, that pretty much marked the arrival of electronic age. It was all about, you know, kind of like information and so forth, the globalism, the corporate world started spreading, you know, a lot, pretty much. And the birth of mass media. Now, obviously, Capricorn is nothing to do with that, but Uranus and Neptune really talk to you about media. So, how the media is going to be changing now, we will see that. Digital technology, for example, mobile phones, internet, um, networking, how we connect with people. I remember, 1997. I think that's the very first time when at school we started having computers and there were these chat rooms and, so you were able to talk to people all over the world. So now this is going to be taken to the next level. I don't think there is going to be language barriers anymore, for example. But the corporate world, it's a big one here. Uh, Kind of like the conveyor belt type of energy. We're talking about systems in place, right? So internet started taking over our life and then internet got used everywhere. So this really looks like that, you know what, either the internet is going to be going through a major transformation or is the realization how much the internet has taken our own life over. So this could talk to us about the liberation from that, or of course, that everything goes extremely digital. By the way, we had a semi-square happening between Neptune and Uranus back in 2017 to 2019. A semi-square is a 45-degree aspect. Basically, that's the very second moon phase of two planets. And this was very much about the realization of how much we are dependent on technology, I would say. For me, this Uranus and Neptune cycle is also something to do with an industrial revolution. So it looks to me that the service industries are transforming, our ideas and visions are transforming. How we kind of like participate in everyday lives, probably, you know what, metaverse and all these type of things are going to be blooming significantly. And maybe this is the real start of spirituality as well. You know, maybe people are going to be more focused on the spiritual awakening, getting in touch with their own mission in life. There is definitely going to be new discoveries for new planets, but we can also become extremely confused about what spiritual system to follow. And you know what? I would say that since 2017 to 19, I really start seeing this because we are confused about house systems and what orb to give to planet. And Mercury retrograde has become such a big topic. And, you know, I love talking about Mercury retrograde because it is not used in the correct way nowadays. But anyway, we're not going to go into that right now. So it could bring confusion about, I do not know what to believe anymore. But for me, this would also talk to us about maybe legislations around drugs as well, how the drug kind of like consumptions are going to be changing as well. Of course, we've got Pluto in the picture as well. Especially, it pretty much started in 2024, sometimes in June, July, when the free planets were close enough and therefore they are forming a mini Grand Trine. So a mini Grand Trine contains two sextiles and the trine. So sextiles are 60-degree, and the trine is actually a 120-degree aspect. And they are considered to be positive. So first of all, on a personal level, what I would say is locate those three houses in your chart. That's where you should be experiencing a transition. So where is the Neptune? Where is the Pisces, the Taurus, and the Capricorn part of your chart? And those are all about a major transformation for you. From 2026 onwards, you're going to have to be looking at, okay, where is the Aries cusp, the Aquarius cusp, and the Gemini cusp of my chart. Now, what does Uranus try to do? Uranus in the sign of Taurus is trying to get you out of your comfort zone. It tries to liberate you from something, setting you free, for example, financially, or it just simply wants you to start believing in something. And at the same time, what you have believed stable actually is not going to be stable anymore. The problem sometimes with Taurus that it resists change, but Uranus doesn't listen to Taurus. It says, no, I'm going to get you out of it. I want you to discover, Uranus, what your talents are, what your inner resources are. And then Uranus sometimes brings chaos. So it can be frustrating that we have got all these changes ahead of us. Uranus comes like a lightning bolt. And then Neptune is in the picture also, right? So wherever Neptune is, sometimes we need to surrender something in that particular house of your own chart. Neptune wants you to let go of something. So the freedom is going to come through surrender that might have been dear to you for a very long time. We must understand that we do not know, for example, that letting go of something is always a problem because we are making space for something new to enter. Maybe this is also about the creation of your own inner safety. And safety does not always come from the validation from others, but finding that validation within yourself. That's also a major message with this constellation. Of course, we've got a desire to be safe, but might not allow you to go further. And this is the reason why you are holding on to your dear life, holding on to something. And that's what Uranus wants to liberate you from. Something needs or must be removed. And Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, then later on in the sign of Aquarius. Pluto comes into the picture to empower you, to make you strong. It is telling you that you have to face something, you have to face the challenges, or kind of like accumulate how many challenges you have faced and how strong those challenges have made you, how strong you are now. This is about the discovery of your inner power, your inner strength. Yes, Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, right? So it wants you to be responsible for all trouble that you might have caused, but also to, in a way, empower you to have pleasure in life as well. And that comes from the Taurus part of your chart. These three are a reminder that you are the creator of your own fate. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. And being on 29 degree, which is a critical degree, surely this is something that you need to let go of. The power of letting go and breaking free is actually priceless. Probably that's also a big message with these. Many of us should be unrecognizable in the next 4 years, I would say. Uranus in Taurus is working on self-love as well as why we hate ourselves. Or maybe the perfectionism, which comes from Neptune in the sign of Pisces. And it's just the realization that nothing is perfect, or we are perfect the way we are. We have got Uranus in wood, sorry, in Earth sign and Neptune in water. Earth and water create mud. So we're meant to be getting off that sticky mud. By the way, Neptune is also the focal point in this Grand Trine, or sorry, mini Grand Trine. And Neptune is still in the sign of Pisces. And very interestingly enough, North Node will be in the sign of Pisces as well from 25 January onwards. I'm going to be making a separate video about it. So do not worry for a second. You're going to get clued up on what that is exactly. But it is again highlighting the need to let go, to surrender, to go with the flow. Outer planets always bring you huge transformations. And by the way, these energies got activated, got pretty boosted for you at the end of, from about 9th of July till about 31st of July, because Mars joined the club as well. So Mars was energizing this for you. So you might want to be looking back what was going on around that time in your life, because that could give you hints about what to expect in the next 4 years. And now the sun is going to be shedding light onto this on the 21st of September, when it's going to be in the sign of Virgo, actually opposing Neptune, and then obviously having an interaction with Uranus, as well as Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. Now, let's break it down a little bit more. So Pluto is wealth, power, death, release, getting rid of something that is outdated in your life. So it's the birth of something new. And Pluto can be used in a very positive way by being determined, persistent, being courageous, being loyal to something, being ambitious. In the sign of Capricorn, we need to remain disciplined. We need to be kind of like passionate about wanting to achieve something. Yes, that Pluto sometimes wants us to go deep to discover something as well. And sometimes that Pluto wants us to even trust the intuition, because Pluto wants the depth of reality. So it wants to take you into a different dimension. Now, the Neptune element is about spiritual awakening, creativity, inspiration, helpfulness, going with the flow, compassion, unconditional love. Also, Neptune makes things sensitive. Neptune is the planet of forgiveness. And also, to a certain level, healing as well. Now, we've got Neptune in the picture, right? Which is about freedom, social justice, progression, humanitarian matters, society, reforming something, brilliance, genius, but also at the same time, a forward thinker, a problem solver, finding a unique solution to a problem, technology. So it really feels like, for me, this mini Grand Trine is pretty much the start of a new age in a way. Maybe we're talking about 5D, 6D, maybe we're gonna be able to find solutions for all the earthly problems that we have got at the moment. Maybe it's again trying to enjoy life to the fullest. It's somehow becoming, it's being a little bit less material and being a little bit more spiritual, which I can hardly imagine happening though, but this could be also one of the meaning of that. Or this could even talk to us about that, you know what, we're going to have a one information system. We're going to have a source that the information comes from, and that's the one we kind of should be believing, you know. Well, one side of the story, right? So that's also has got its own challenges and so forth. But also, this is about being in service to yourself rather than being in service to others all the time. So even it could be promoting self-employment as well, of course. What does it mean to be a human? And it's the realization that humans were born to be good to start with. Something is actually making them act out, for example. So maybe there's going to be a little bit more acceptance towards people. It's about kind of like wearing like the badge of pride of who I am type of energy pattern that I'm seeing here, that humanity might be going through a healing and awakening. So this is only one part of the picture, of course. We have got a lot other stuff going on. So obviously I have made a video already about Neptune in Aries. I made a video about Mars retrograde in the sign of Cancer. Also, I made a video about Uranus in Gemini as well. So pretty much, we are halfway through of our 2025 and 26 marathon. But you will be getting quite a few more videos about these couple of years in the next 1.5 weeks. So stay tuned, like the video, join to my membership as well as to my channel so you can be updated about what is happening in the world. Have a great one, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.